The federal judge in Donald Trump's New York criminal case found the former president in contempt for a 10th time today.
Hey everyone, Carl here. What I'm about to tell you sounds like something straight out of a movie, but it actually happened. Former President Donald Trump was in a federal courtroom, and in a moment of intense anger, he allegedly threatened a federal judge right there on the record.
I want to start with an apology. We pride ourselves here on our accuracy, but we realized very late in the day that our backdrop is no longer correct because it still features the East Wing of the White House. Let me show you where it used to be. So this right here, that was the East Wing. Now it's a hole. That's just a hole next to the White House. Over here, that's the West Wing. That's still standing as far as we know, although I'm not there right now to prove it. In the back here, you got that's the Empire State Building. And over there, that's LAX. And also we got a cold front moving in from Ohio, so break out your sweaters. The list I read at the top of the show, that's not even all of the norm-busting news from this week. Tonight, our overall subject is impunity. How does a president get to knock down the East Wing? Is that even legal? By what authority does he do the things he does?
Before anyone could fully process what was happening, U.S. Marshals stepped in. Trump was arrested in the courtroom.
To provide us with some insights are our guests, Peter Baker, the chief White House correspondent at the New York Times. Susan Glasser is a staff writer at the New Yorker. David Ignatius is a foreign affairs columnist at the Washington Post. And Tolu Olorunipa is a staff writer at The Atlantic.
If the radical Democrats take power, they will take a wrecking ball to our economy and to the future of our country.
Now we know where the wrecking ball was headed. So the White House is called the People's House. We send somebody there.
Handcuffs and everything. This was not a dramatization. This was not fiction. It reportedly happened, and the impact was massive. Let me explain what unfolded.
Hi, Lilia. So, yes, we're seeing a real escalation with these contempt findings. The judge is realizing that these $1,000 monetary fines are really not much of a deterrent for Donald Trump. We know that given his wealth, that's really just a very tiny fraction for him. So the judge is now saying that jail is on the table if this continues. And so far, we really haven't seen these gag order violations stopping Trump's rhetoric. If anything, he uses them to boost his fundraising. We've often seen these legal troubles boost him in the polls, and perhaps he's even daring this threat of jail, which it seems like Judge Merchan really doesn't want to have to take that step. But I was actually reminded today of a moment in the E. Jean Carroll trial where Trump was often acting out in that courtroom in a way he doesn't do in this one, but he does outside of it. And one day, Judge Lewis Kaplan in that case was saying, something to the extent of, do you want me to have to find you in contempt and put you in jail? And Trump commented, I would love that. And the judge said, I know you would. And so you almost wonder if he realizes how that might rally his base, if he's actually put behind bars as the trial is going on.
The courtroom was packed. The hearing was related to the ongoing classified documents case, where Trump has been fighting to keep certain evidence sealed and attempting to delay proceedings. Judge Tanya Chutkan was presiding. She had just ruled against Trump on another motion, denying his request to dismiss key evidence. She made it clear she was frustrated with the repeated delays. That's when things escalated. According to sources in the courtroom, Trump stood up, pointed at Judge Chutkan, and allegedly said something to the effect of, "You're done. You're finished. When I'm back in office, you're going to pay for this." The room went silent. Within seconds, U.S. Marshals approached him and informed him he was under arrest for contempt of court and for threatening a federal official.
No doubt that this would be playing out differently if he wasn't a former president and a current presidential contender. You generally, when you're in a criminal trial, you can't talk about the jurors. You can't talk about other witnesses. And if you continuously violate a gag order in a case, you're held in contempt and at times actually jailed. He's gotten a lot of warnings about this. The prosecutors have said At some point, we may ask for that. The judge has really drawn his red line at talking about the jurors. Time and time again, these are the things that he mentions when he finds Trump in contempt. It's the times when Trump mentions jurors, whether it's in an interview or posting about the jury selection process on social media. And he said, one of the things that I'm thinking about when I'm considering this kind of what would be a momentous decision is the toll that this would take not just on the defendant, but the court staff, the corrections officers who have to oversee it, the Secret Service agents he mentioned who would have to accompany Trump. He knows that there's more that would go into this than just the normal jailing of a defendant.
I mean, this case, covering it, I'm sure for both of you, there's so much that happens around and outside and even behind you as campaigns kind of happen and show up there. But let's not lose sight of the facts of the case. Katrina, what are we learning from today's testimony from Jeffrey McConney? And remind us.
Trump reportedly began shouting, demanding to speak with his lawyers and claiming immunity. It didn't matter. The marshals handcuffed him in the courtroom, read him his rights, and escorted him out as stunned spectators watched. It was a moment many believe would never happen. The legal system taking firm action in real time.
From the Trump Organization, and we're finally seeing the falsification of business records aspect of this case. Until now, we've really been seeing a larger catch and kill scheme laid out where they revealed this allegation that they were trying to suppress damaging stories from coming out about Donald Trump leading up to the election and really show their case for election fraud that was going on. But ultimately, that's actually an underlying charge here. Trump is charged with 34 counts of falsification of business records, and Jeffrey McConney is giving us what happened behind the scenes at the Trump Organization as these reimbursement payments were made. We're learning about conversations between him and Alan Weisselberg, who was the former chief financial officer of the Trump Organization, who directed McConney to make this repayment to Michael Cohen, and we learned sort of the numeric breakdown of that, as well as how McConney then told Deborah Tarasoff, who handled payroll at the company and who we expect to see on the witness stand at some point in this case, to mark those down as legal expenses and retainers. But what was really key is we learned that the payments had to come out of Donald Trump's personal account. So this is bringing in Trump and his own knowledge of the payments. He even detailed how they had to come up with a whole new process of sending checks from the Trump Organization to the White House so Trump could sign them himself, then back to the Trump Organization, and then to Michael Cohen. So we're really starting to see the threads of the falsification business records aspect of this case, which the prosecution does have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt here.
Katrina Kaufman, Graham Cates, it's so great to have you. Thank you.
This moment didn't come out of nowhere. Trump has frequently criticized judges publicly, questioned court legitimacy, and faced multiple warnings over alleged violations of court orders. Judge Chutkan had previously warned that further violations would bring serious consequences. She made it clear that being a former president does not grant immunity from courtroom rules. In this case, the alleged direct, in-person threat is what made it different. Legal experts note that threatening a federal judge is a serious offense and not protected by free speech laws. Contempt of court can also carry penalties, including fines or jail time. Following the arrest, Trump was reportedly held pending a contempt hearing. His attorneys argued for immunity and First Amendment protection, but the judge ultimately found him in criminal contempt and ordered him held without bail pending further proceedings. The political reaction was immediate and intense. Democrats called it long overdue accountability. Republicans labeled it political persecution. Regardless of political views, the legal implications are significant. Threatening a federal judge carries serious penalties, and a criminal contempt finding adds further legal consequences. The footage of the arrest reportedly went viral, dramatically shaping public discussion. This development adds to Trump's existing legal challenges and could have major political consequences moving forward.